Good afternoon. We're back with another Marvel Snap video. Today will be a card review for Caiera. This is the last day in which you can purchase Caiera with tokens as the featured card of the week, as it was released this week, or the last day that you can get Caiera in a Spotlight Cash for a little while. So we'll give a card review and give an opinion on Caiera. And as usual, I won't bury the lead. Caiera is very, very good. The stats on Caiera so far are very strong. Now, it's a defensive card, which makes it hard to evaluate because she doesn't provide overwhelming power. She doesn't destroy power. She prevents your power from being destroyed. Now, in Marvel Snap, there are basically three ways to win or lose cubes. You can win cubes by destroying your opponent's power or by countering their cards with things like Shang-Chi, Enchantress, Shadow King, and so forth. You can simply outpower your opponent by gaining more power on the board, or you can prevent your opponent from playing cards using things like Professor X. Caiera prevents your power from being destroyed, and as anybody who's played the game for any length of time knows, Shang-Chi is a cube thief. He steals a lot of cubes. Killmonger can sometimes steal cubes as well. Caiera protects your 1 and 6 cost cards from both Killmonger, if it's a 1 cost, and Shang-Chi, if it's a 6 cost, and this is very, very valuable and enables or strengthens some deck types that were mediocre before or were good but not great before, because their cube rate was getting damaged by Shang-Chi stealing cubes on the final turn when he destroyed a valuable 6 cost card. So is Caiera worth getting? She's really, really strong, in my opinion. How strong? Right now, as of this moment, which is January 8th, 2024, we are looking at least a top 10 card in the game and probably a top 5. Possibly even a top 3 card, up there with Miss Marvel and Jeff, maybe High Evolutionary, in overall strength. That might be a little bit on the high end of the projections for her, but definitely a top 10 card, very, very likely a top 5 card. That's how strong she is, and I'm basing that opinion on her stats, because you won't be basing your opinion of Caiera on what you actually see in gameplay, because you don't see her generating huge power and you don't see her destroying power. You don't see her preventing your opponent from playing cards. She prevents your power from being destroyed, and that's not hard to see, or that's hard to see or to visualize on the board. But we can take a look at her stats. So here we go. Card stats according to Snap.fan. We're looking at Series 5 cards. First, we'll look at the win rate when Caiera is in the deck, or when any Series 5 card is in the deck. We see at the very top is High Evolutionary with 58% and a 0.6 average cubes. Caiera is number 2 at 57.89. That's with 38,000 game sample size. Miss Marvel number 3, Nebula number 4, Jeff number 5. And in terms of the top 5 rankings, if you took out Caiera right now, before Caiera was released, if somebody said to you the top 5 cards in the game are High Evolutionary, Miss Marvel, Nebula, Jeff, and Thanos, I don't know anyone who would consider that crazy. If you just gave your opinion of the top 5 cards in the game based purely on the win percentage when in the deck, that'd be a very solid top 5 list, with Iron Lad and Blob coming in right after that. Very, very solid ranking of cards when you look at according to win percentage when in deck. And Caiera slotting it at number 2, okay. It's a hard card to evaluate. Defensive cards always are. But that's very, very promising. When we look at the average cubes, again, number 2, up there with High Evolutionary. When we look at win percentage when drawn, number 2, second only to Blob, right above Miss Marvel, above High Evolutionary, above Annihilus. Those rankings make sense to me. Average cubes when drawn, number 1. She's protecting you from Shang-Chi. She's protecting you from those Shang-Chi snaps where you lose 4 or 8 cubes. Win percentage when played, she drops down to number 8 or number 9 or something like that. But that's because Phoenix Force and Living Tribunal do so well when they actually do get played, and Galactus as well. Again, this makes sense, but this is the reason why I say she's a top 5 card, possibly even a top 3 card, because these stats are just incredibly strong right now. So strong as a defensive card. The best defensive card in the game. I believe she is eventually going to land as a must-play card in a lot of different decks. And unlike High Evolutionary, she doesn't just fit or enable one deck. I think she's going to fit in a lot of different decks. So if you have Spotlight keys and you've been thinking about picking up Caiera, or you've been thinking about picking her up with tokens, she's in the Spotlight caches with High Evolutionary and Nebula. If you don't have either High Evolutionary or Nebula, I would absolutely recommend spending your Spotlight keys this week. I think you'll regret it if you don't. If you already have both High Evolutionary and Nebula, that's a harder call. That's the position I'm in. I have 2 Spotlight keys. I have High Evolutionary. I have Nebula. Do I take the risk and try for Caiera, or do I just wait and pick her up with tokens? I kind of want my Spotlight keys for the Annihilus, Meek, and Phoenix Force week because I don't have any of those cards. But, man, it's really tough because I think I'm going to need Caiera to be a meta player. I really do. She's just so strong, and because she's a defensive card and her power is not obvious, I don't think she's going to draw that many complaints from players, and so I don't think she's a strong candidate for a nerf. Blob may get nerfed. Miss Marvel may get nerfed at least once, probably more times. High Evolutionary got nerfed multiple times. Annihilus is getting nerfed. Jeff, another card that's very good that's not obvious, probably not getting nerfed, but I don't think Caiera is going to get nerfed, so I think she's a solid investment. My recommendation, if you don't have High Evolutionary or Nebula, go ahead and spend those keys this week. If you have both of those cards already, High Evolutionary and Nebula, well, it's up to you. That's the position I'm in, and it's a tough decision, but you're going to want Caiera eventually if you're a meta player. That's my opinion. That's all for now, and thank you for watching.